Hi guys, welcome to episode seven of
Seven.
Japa Diaries, a podcast documenting the experiences of African immigrants in the diaspora.
Yes, and on this week's episode, we talked mostly about code switching, different accents, how that propagates through life, what different circles, and we had fun doing it.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Japa.Diaries. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Hello. Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This is Japa Diaries, a podcast documenting the experiences of African immigrants in the diaspora. Today, we have another guest. She's a content creator, a girly for the Habesha girlies. Ladies and gentlemen, K1 is here.
Hey,
Did I
man.
say that
Cue
right?
applause.
Applaud myself.
Yeah. Nice. So it is pronounced K1. I got that right.
Yeah, it's K1.
Nice. How long have you been in the US of A? Or really, let's find out your entire Japa stories. Like, when did you leave the motherland and how did you end up in the US?
Yeah. So, let me try and make it as conducive as possible because for me, my motherland is Ethiopia, but I didn't grow up there, right? So I was about 5 or 6 years old when we left Ethiopia, my entire family. And we grew up in Dubai, which at that point in time was just straight sand dunes.
Yeah,
one or two buildings,
Before it was cool. You were in Dubai before it was cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, and it was actually cool because that was a time in which Dubai was all expats, right? It was a lot of people coming from everywhere to do trade, and that was Dubai's big thing. It was that middle point where people can come. You don't have to pay taxes on anything you import or export. So people loved it. Yeah, especially like East Africans, you just go right through to Djibouti and you're good,
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that I grew up with were Indian and Filipino and Pakistani and Arab. So
it was a true melting pot.
A true melting pot, and everybody. It felt like, although there was a lot of wealth there, and you could see it. It felt like such a equal playing field because everybody was different. There was nobody felt other.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So in 12th grade, I'd come to visit America a few times, but in 12th grade, I knew I wanted to go to America for college. I was like,
why?
Actually, my older sister. And my older sister, I call her Nia, but her name is Milena, who went to school with Malik. Yeah, so she, I saw her have the time of her life, and I was like, oh, that's what I want.
This is what I want for
This is
myself.
what American dream is.
this life that you're living, sign me up.
Literally. I was like, that looks like a party. I want it.
Okay. All right.
So that's what solidified it for me. I feel like with most of us that are coming and want a westernized education, either America, and I've heard you guys talk about this, it's either America or London or the UK. A few people do a little, those places in Europe, but mostly it's either the UK or the US, right?
Or Canada.
And now
Canada, yeah. Canada is really coming up too. And so that's what solidified it for me. It was really my sister. So it was like, yeah, no, it's great. It's not really college. It's literally just 4 years of fun.
I'm crying. I mean, yeah, because I feel like America's college system is so much more lax-ish in a way compared to the rest of the world. My friends couldn't choose their classes. I'm like, what do you mean you couldn't choose your classes? Some of us were designing our majors. We literally made this up. But yeah, that's good to know. So when you're in Dubai, is everybody just speaking in their own accents? Everybody's just you're learning a Pakistani accent today, you're learning Indian accents, you know what I mean? Was it that, or was everybody trying to meet in a Dubai middle?
Yeah.
You know what's actually really funny? When I first learned English, I was 5 or 6 years old. So I was going into first grade. I was learning English in Dubai, and most of my school teachers were Indian. So I grew up with an Indian accent. man.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Like, and the crazy thing is, my mom barely spoke English, but she was like,
Oh,
"That doesn't look
that
right."
doesn't sound
It
right.
doesn't sound right. She
She's
could tell
like,
something was off.
Yeah,
right
yeah. Oh no.
yeah, full on
Wait.
Indian accent, like shaking my head and like.
No,
Not-
stop.
I don't think you guys understand. All my friends are Indian. I was like, "Mom, what's
Okay.
going on? This is how I felt."
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "No, people are gonna think you're making fun of them." And I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Oh
any
my
different.
God.
I know.
So how do you remedy that? How do you fix that?
So my mom made sure that we went to Ethiopia a lot. So not that like that would
Okay.
change our English accent, but even the people in Ethiopia that were speaking English were speaking with a different English accent. So it almost like my English accent was like kind of like this weird in between.
Blended.
Yeah, blended between like the movies I was watching and my teachers and what they
Mhm.
were telling me, and you know, going home to Ethiopia and they like the
Mhm.
Amharic accent in you know.
Wow.
And I think what really like changed my accent and like almost made it more like American style accent is we watched Friends like it was the Bible. Like I know I
taught you the American accent.
huh?
As a friends taught you the American accent.
Friends taught me like
Wow.
anything and everything I know about America was because on NBC2 we would have Friends playing on repeat, and that's how I learned to speak English in this kind of like American style accent.
Yeah, conversational.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like an LA accent too, because most of them sounded like they were from the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't they in
Yeah,
New York
exactly.
first? Well, I mean, they didn't have New York accents on that show for sure.
No.
So
Of course
let me
not.
not do
Of
that.
course not. Of course not.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
never
of course
even said cup of Joe. And I feel like, you know,
That is
when
true.
you think of New York.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow. I
here
was gonna
one.
ask Malik what
Shoot.
movie you saw, but I was like, we grew up in Nigeria speaking English.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So our accents were going to be Nigerian accents speaking English.
Mm.
But that is interesting.
But I
Yeah.
mean,
That is
like
really
to
interesting.
kind of like relate it. Like I feel like what I thought American English was exactly what was seen on Disney Channel that year.
Yep.
So all the shows we were watching,
Yeah.
however they sounded, to me, that's how people in America sound. That's how people in America talk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was definitely the West Coast accent too, because you could tell like when like someone from down south, there was like a country accent on his show or something. It's like
Mhm.
flag
Yeah.
as a whole theme. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like that
That
was
is
something different. Like the country accent, you're like, wow, look at this very different, not really kind of American accent.
Exactly.
Mhm. Like wait
Yeah.
till they hear us, then they'll
Yeah.
know the accents are actually different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when did you realize you had an accent? Like when was the first time it flagged for you? Like you don't sound like everybody, or someone pointed it out to you?
In
Mm.
the US.
Yes.
I think I already knew coming in based on like previous maybe holidays, like if we were with cousins that lived in the US,
Mm.
hmm
their accents were obviously to me, even though like they will be Nigerian, they were obviously American accents to me, right?
Mhm.
And I have this weird thing that I would do where like I almost want to match the person's accent, and I don't know like did you guys do this also? And
Yeah.
I
I
don't
still
know
do
if
it.
it's because
I
I
know.
don't know if I'm
Yeah.
trying to make the person
It
comfortable.
like switches
Like,
on. You don't even
I
know.
don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I
Yeah.
do it. And so
Yeah.
I would like try and do it. And I remember like your mom would complain, like, oh my god, like you're not American. Like when you're with these guys, they have to speak Nigerian accents. I'm like, no, because they don't understand me. So I'm just trying to match them so they can understand me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so coming for school, I definitely knew I had an accent. And wow, that first year, man, I was tearing
Yeah.
my tongue, turning it around, trying to be that American accent. And I don't know at what point I was like, I remember one time my friend said this to me in junior year, because like I would talk to her like pretty normal. And I'd given a presentation in class and she was like, bro, why do you sound like that? Like that's
Who
not
are
even
you?
how you talk. Like who are you right now? And I was like,
Yeah.
I actually don't know, girl. Like I don't know what my accent is like every day in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always known I had an accent, or like would switch it around a bunch.
Yeah.
Alright.
Not
That's-
easy.
It's kind of like you're based on the person that you're talking to. It's like they
Yes.
access a different part of your personality, almost like a different part of your brain too. because like now it's like,
Yes.
oh, I know how to relate to you, and I have
Yes.
to relate to you in this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was talking to my therapist about this like a couple of weeks ago. We're talking
Yeah.
about how like part of the whole like moving to the US and like trying to find a sense of belonging and like friends that you relate with is one of the markers for me was what accent did I speak in,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So if I was talking like if I roll some R's or something, then I know I'm not like fully there. Because I was saying about how like I'll just talk to Nigerians here like anyhow. Like anyhow, literally anyhow. I can murmur through my sentence and they know exactly what I was trying to say and how I couldn't always do that. And like even so she was asking me, so in this moment, like what accent are you speaking in? And I'm like, I feel like I've adjusted more to my Nigerian accent, but because you're American, I know you're American, I'm gonna roll some R's. You know, like some T's are going to be silent because if I say them differently, you might not catch what the word I was trying to say. And like, so even there, I still don't fully like, sit in my Nigerian accent just based on who I'm talking to.
Yeah,
Right.
wow, that's
Perfect.
amazing.
I think this helps us segue into our topic for today, which
Yeah.
is switching.
Yeah.
Okay, so first things first is I want to define it, right? Then we'll talk about what it means to us and how we implement that through our daily lives. So, because we like facts here, from the Harvard Business Review, code switching involves adjusting one's style of speech, appearance, behavior, and expression in ways that will optimize the comfort of others in exchange for fair treatment, quality service, and employment opportunities.
So we were all just code switching.
Exactly. That's exactly.
You just
that's
defined
exactly,
exactly what we were doing. Because
exactly
I
what
was
we did.
asked, are we doing it to make the other person comfortable? And I know that I definitely was because I didn't want to keep getting asked, sorry, what did you say? Sorry, what did you say? And then it starts pointing out, oh, wow, you have an accent. Where are you from? And it's like,
You're
sometimes
so
I just want to
different.
get,
Yeah.
I don't need too much conversation. I just need to know how to get to XYZ. Asking me too many questions right now, bro.
So I mean, you say you don't really like conform to like an American accent when you talk to people now. You mostly try and go with your Nigerian accent.
Yeah, I'm trying.
That's bold.
But
I like it. I like it.
I cannot confirm what accent I speak in at work. I don't know what it is. I feel like my brain switches off, and I'm going to record myself in my next meeting because I'm actually curious. Like, what accent do I speak in when I'm at work? And I think maybe it's the same like Nigerian light accents where I'm like I'm speaking the Nigerian accent and then some words are rolled. Because I have a friend who started doing this. She's in Canada. She was saying like, "Guy, I cannot die. I actually cannot die trying to speak like somebody that I'm not." And she gave the example of like Chimamanda, the author, how she speaks in a Nigerian accent. She just talks slowly and enunciates. And maybe that's what I could try doing. But I don't know how well it's working for me because my partner has told me on multiple occasions that sometimes I just say some things and he just doesn't know what I'm saying.
That's so crazy to me because if you asked me, I'd be like, yes, I have an accent, but I don't think I have that much of an accent. Until I hear someone like try and mimic my accent that is American, I'm like, so this is what I sound like to you.
To you guys, yeah. Have you seen that TikTok trend where people are like recording me, a Kenyan or me a Nigerian, sending a voice note to my friend, like, hey, just trying to see what you're doing, what's up? And they play it back and they hear, guy, how far now? How are we going to go to this place? Like, it doesn't sound like them at all.
Yeah. Okay. What you think you sound like versus what you actually sound like.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I think we code switch like the most in the workplace. Hey, Juan, I was gonna ask you, do you feel like you do a good amount of code switching at work, or you feel like the accent in which you speak now kind of just plays very well and everyone can understand you?
You know what's wild? I feel like when I came to America, or living where I was living in Dubai and everything, everybody kept telling me, you have such an American accent. You have such an American accent. So I always thought I had an accent. And then I came here, everybody was telling me, you don't have an accent. And I was like, what? That is so weird. Yeah. But then I would say some words that my Indian teachers taught me, and they'd be like, oh, wait a minute. Where are you? You know? Like, yeah, you're caught. You're not from here, you know?
So that means, like, truly, the accent that you learned was American.
Yeah.
Like, to speak English in 100%.
Yeah.
And you know, with Amharic, like my native tongue, I feel like it's different because we don't have like a sort of like broken English. You know how there's like pidgin and there is Spanglish
Mhm.
and like a way where you
Mhm.
can like mix kind of like a like a
Yeah.
patois,
Yeah,
we don't have
exactly.
that. Like the languages are so separate, English and Amharic, that
Mhm.
there's no way you can kind of find an in
Mix it
between.
up.
Yeah, it's either you're
Mm.
speaking English or you're speaking
They're
Amharic.
speaking Amharic. That's
Yeah,
true.
It doesn't
yeah.
blend.
It doesn't
Huh.
really blend. And
Do
the
you ever
crazy,
catch yourself like saying like you start a sentence in Amharic and you break to a word in English, or like you just
hmm
go fully?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
I throw in words here and there, especially when I'm speaking
Fill
to
in
my
the blank.
parents. Yeah, I fill in the blanks. But
That's fair.
like Miles, he always says that's my partner. He's fully American, and for him, he was like,
Mhm.
I know you throw a few English words in there, and I can kind of piece together what you're saying, but everything in
Mhm.
the middle is kind of
Yeah, you gotta help me out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're going somewhere, I just don't know where you're going.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, Malik was asking like, I guess in what since you have an American like English accent, right?
Mm,
Do you ever feel like you have to turn it up a little bit, or like are you in circles where you feel like you have to turn it down, if that makes sense?
yes. So
Okay.
depending on which circle I'm in, right? Like I feel like now I work remotely and I do
Mhm.
feel like I have to enunciate a little bit more and speak a little bit more clear and try and avoid
Mhm.
any kind of accent that might come out, you know,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
in when I'm talking. But I also work with a lot of Indians. So my
Mm.
second grade
Be
accent has
careful.
to come
Be
out.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, what don't say? Like those like tough Indian names that are like harder for some people, like say
Uh-huh.
Lakshmi. I'm like, I can say that, like it
Easy.
rolls right off the tongue, but
Yeah.
like a lot of Americans have a hard time saying it. But I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I've been trained for
Yeah.
this. Listen, let me tell
Yeah.
you.
Oh
But
my
I think
goodness.
where I find it the hardest, honestly, is when I'm speaking to my African American friends, because I
Mm.
think when I first came here, a lot of them were like, "Why do you speak white?" And I was like,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
Mm.
what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Like, that's when I really felt my accent. When
Mm.
I'm with white people, they're like, oh, you talk like everybody else in America. But then when
Mhm.
I'm with my black friends, they're like, wow, you must have grown up in like the white part of town or white
Yeah.
high
If
school. And
only
I was
you
like,
knew.
yeah, I was like, oh, I don't even go here. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like even
Interesting.
in the workplace, I find myself when I'm, because black people, we really stick together. Like we gravitate
Mhm.
towards each other. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so when I do gravitate towards like my black or people of color, in my workplace, I tend
Mhm.
to speak a little bit more in that accent, and I don't even want to call it
Mhm.
an accent, but like just more like girl, you know what I'm
Vernacular.
talking about. Like yeah,
Yeah.
like that
Just
kind
change.
of
Just switch off vernacular. Yeah.
yeah.
How fluent would you say your I guess vernacular was, like African American?
I still feel like I sound like a white girl speaking black. Like it's so odd. They're like, "Oh, hey, on." I'm like, "I'm sorry." It came
Yeah, I
so
didn't even
naturally.
consider that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if you didn't like grow up here, you don't have it. Like I feel like
You
all of
just
us are
don't.
just playing. We're playing catch up, really.
I
Yeah.
can't lie to you. I feel like I blend in well enough. I feel like I
Uh,
can blend.
no way. No way. I'll
I'm
tell you
dead
that right
serious.
now. No way.
And I'll tell you why. So
Yeah.
because my first year in the US, I took a gap year, and so my
Mhm.
accent was very like that white American. I'm trying to like,
Mm.
roll my R's and do all these things and all these whatever. And then I went to college and the majority of my friends were African American, right?
Mm.
And I remember like one of the first classes we ever took was like a linguistics class, and they were talking about like African American vernacular. And she said something about like what had happened was, and everybody was like, oh, laughing like kiki, that's a joke. And I'm like, what did you just say? Like that didn't actually make any sense to
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
what is that supposed to mean? And
Yeah.
they were trying to essentially say how like there's validity in that language, in that vernacular, because it's
Mm.
communication, and that's what language is supposed to do. It's supposed to get people to
Mm-hmm.
communicate. And if people just
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
understood what I'm saying, it's a language. And so because I was around them a lot in my first couple of years,
Mm.
I picked up on a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And like I catch myself now, and sometimes I have to ask myself, like, is this okay? Like, am I like? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Are you
should I be
appropriating?
able to do this? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I often ask myself, like, am I
I'm appropriate.
appropriating, or am
Yeah.
I allowed to do this based on shared race?
Yeah.
I think they give us a pass. I think
Yeah.
and when you speak in someone's language, is almost endearing as well. It's a term of endearment, kind of. Like anytime we code switch to talk like more white or whatever, it's because we want the other person to feel comfortable. So if I'm talking to you in the language that you speak, it's like, okay, this person is doing this because they want to be more comfortable in this conversation. So I don't think you have any real issues, but I understand the concern. I do understand the concern.
Yeah.
Because if it was a white person speaking to me in Nigerian accent, we will fight.
Yeah.
Easy.
I'm
On sight. We will fight.
Where did you get that from? Yeah.
Exactly.
Who made you feel comfortable?
Yeah, exactly. Did I make the mistake? Did I lead you to this? You better calm down.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of having to like code switch in different environments, because if I go back home to Nigeria now for vacation or whatever, my accent will change depending, like if I'm talking to the police officer or I'm somehow in the market. That's a full set of tools. Yeah. Like so that vernacular is going to change as well, even while I'm at home. So it's changing even in like niche circles here and there.
So I would argue that code switching is not necessarily a result of being an immigrant. It's more just like a human experience of having to adapt to whoever it is you're with. But I think the difference is with white people, they probably don't have to do it as much because they are used to being the norm. They're considered the norm as far as they are.
Yeah.
So they feel like they don't never really need to do that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And do you find yourself code switching back home?
I feel like I do my best to not speak English at all whenever I'm in Ethiopia, because I feel like that almost like a lot of people will see you as like, oh, you think you're better than somebody. Oh, who do you think you are, kind of thing. So I do my best not to speak it at all.
Lady from America.
Yeah, like, oh.